Namaskar, friends. Let me begin with a quote that was seen on the walls of Karachi many years ago. We regret this temporary democratic interlude. Normal martial law will resume shortly. Unquote. At a time when Army Chief Asim Munir is looking for a bigger role for himself in Pakistan, it is also useful to recall what Ayub Khan, Pakistan's first dictator, told his son Gohar Ayub, and I quote, "Once the commander-in-chief makes up his mind to take control, it is only God above who can prevent him." Unquote. What lends credence to Munir's ambitions is, as quoted in the Pak press, that during his interaction with selected media in the United States following his meeting with President Trump, Munir had hinted that he hoped to bring political and diplomatic stability to Pakistan, quote unquote, "before I leave," adding with a smile that this could happen by 2035. I am Tilak Devasher, and you are watching The Great Game Reloaded. Pakistan has had 4 military dictators so far: Generals Ayub Khan, Yahya Khan, Zia-ul-Haq, and Pervez Musharraf. Will Asim Munir be the 5th, either directly or as a powerful president? In many ways, all the 4 dictators walked a similar path. Let's look at some of these. While the takeover speech of each was tailored to their specific context, each broadly emphasized the failures of the preceding government, portrayed the military as the only force capable of rescuing Pakistan from the crisis and restoring order, stability, and national unity. They all portrayed the intervention as a temporary measure to pave the way for a return to democracy, promising elections as soon as the situation returned to normal. Would Asim Munir's speech, in case he took over, be any different? What is also interesting is what their confidential reports and what others had to say about them and the role of providence in their becoming army chiefs. General Iftikhar had been selected as the first Pakistani commander-in-chief of the army to succeed General Gracie. Unfortunately, on his way to England to attend the Imperial Defence College in London, his plane crashed and he was killed along with Brigadier Sher Mohammad Khan, who had also been selected for the Imperial Defence College and was next in line to succeed General Iftikhar. The deaths cleared the way for Ayub Khan, who took over in January 1951. A colonel in 1947, Ayub Khan became Commander-in-Chief of the Army, a 4-star general, in January 1951, within 4 years of Pakistan's creation. Ayub's initial record as an army officer was quite dismal. He was suspended and removed from command in Burma in 1945 for quote unquote visible cowardice under fire. Again, in 1947, he escaped a court-martial ordered by Jinnah himself through the inquiry officer Major Musa Khan, whom Ayub would later elevate as the Commander-in-Chief. Sir Gilbert Lathwaite, the British High Commissioner to Pakistan, recorded a note on Ayub stating, and I quote, "I would not put him in the highest intellectual class by any means. He was, according to our records, a failure as a commanding officer on active service and had to be relieved." Unquote. President Iskandar Mirza scrapped the 1956 Constitution on 7th October 1958 and declared martial law. What Mirza did not comprehend was that under martial law, power flowed from the barrel of the gun that was in the hands of his supposed friend Ayub Khan. The new government was announced on 25th October and sworn in on the morning of the 27th. Ayub was appointed Prime Minister. That night, Mirza was, quote unquote, advised by Ayub's generals to step down and leave the country, and Ayub took over power. On 28th October 1958, Ayub relinquished the post of Commander-in-Chief and appointed General Muhammad Musa, a close confidant, in his stead. By doing so, Ayub lost direct contact with his real constituency of power, the armed forces. None of the other dictators that followed Ayub made the mistake of relinquishing the post of the Commander-in-Chief or Chief of Army Staff voluntarily. Musharraf did so very reluctantly and only when he was forced to do so. By all accounts, Yahya Khan was a boisterous person, a hard drinker, and had a weakness for unrestrained frolicking. For those who knew him, Yahya Khan had a distinct routine. The daytime was dedicated to the affairs of state, but after sunset, especially after 8:30 p.m. or so, to his lively private life. A telling description in the Time magazine was that, and I quote, "Between dusk and dawn, Pakistan was ruled by pimps," unquote. When the time came to appoint a new commander-in-chief of the Pakistan Army, the incumbent General Musa took Ayub a list of 3 general officers. Ayub added a 4th name, Yahya Khan. Musa told Ayub that while professionally Yahya was at par with the other 3, Yahya's soldiering virtues were overshadowed by his personal shortcomings. Ayub believed Musa's fear about Yahya was somewhat unfounded. In the event, Musa was overruled and Ayub chose Yahya. The formal announcement was made in August 1966. Yahya had no qualms about pushing aside Ayub, who had been his benefactor. He detected an opportunity for himself when Ayub was faced with the combined opposition party's movement for his removal. As he put it, and I quote, "I claim to be a professional army officer who is nothing if not a soldier. I did not force Ayub to relinquish power in my favor, but welcomed the chance to take power away from him," unquote. The shabby manner in which Yahya had treated Ayub after ousting him was to haunt him because he faced worse. After Bhutto took over, replacing him, Yahya was put under house arrest and detained at a rest house in a small, unknown place near Kharia. According to the family, Yahya was in almost solitary confinement because friends and relatives were not allowed to visit him. The location of the rest house was unhygienic, full of flies, mosquitoes, and snakes. Electrical outages in the midst of the heat wave and water shortages were common. Zia had got a confidential report stating, and I quote, "He is not fit to be an officer in the Pakistan Army," unquote. Luckily for Zia, his stars were strong and favourable. On Lieutenant General Gul Hassan's intervention, Yahya Khan quashed the report. By most accounts, Zia was not very intellectually inclined. According to a senior army officer, and I quote, "General Zia-ul-Haq is not very bright. If you have to make a point, say it slowly and never repeat less than 3 times," unquote. Perhaps the best description of his personality was that Zia was a shrewd tactician, a chess player in a nation of cricketers. Zia allowed himself to be underestimated, perhaps deliberately, leading to recurrent miscalculations about him. Bhutto chose a successor of Army Chief Tilak Khan in February 1976 by reaching past 8 senior lieutenant generals to select the junior-most, Zia-ul-Haq, then 52. The pen picture of General Zia sent to Bhutto by his private secretary was that Zia was of quote-unquote doubtful reliability. Since Zia had demonstrated unquestioning loyalty, Bhutto felt that he had Zia in his pocket. Writes General K.M. Arif, and I quote, "Bhutto, like most other politicians and analysts in Pakistan, greatly underestimated the shrewdness and the political acumen of Zia," unquote. By his own admission, Musharraf was an ill-disciplined young man, quarrelsome, irresponsible, and careless. He was given a number of punishments for fighting, insubordination, and lack of discipline. Yet, Providence saved him more than once. He narrowly missed being Zia's military secretary. Had he been so appointed, he would have been with Zia on the C-130 that crashed in Bahawalpur. Musharraf was the 3rd senior-most Lieutenant General for consideration as Army Chief after Nawaz Sharif had dismissed the former Army Chief General Karamat, Nawaz Sharif surprised everyone by appointing Musharraf as the Chief of the Army Staff on 8th October 1998. Sharif later disclosed that Musharraf's confidential reports stated he was not fit for the appointment of Chief of Army Staff since he was, quote, quick in taking action and could be easily roused, takes actions without deep thought, unquote. Even before he dislodged Nawaz Sharif as Prime Minister, Musharraf had become infamous for launching the Kargil operation in early 1999. The operation had been considered at least twice earlier and rejected on both occasions, once by Zia and the other by Benazir. On both occasions, the reasons were the same. It would lead to a full-scale war with India that was something Pakistan was not prepared for. The third time, the planners were successful since it was Musharraf who was in charge. For months after President Bill Clinton's intervention, it was believed that Nawaz would sack Musharraf for the Kargil misadventure. But he prevaricated. The delay in dismissing Musharraf was to prove lethal for Nawaz. Musharraf used the time to build support and ultimately ousted Nawaz. Interestingly, 3 of the 4 dictators, Ayub, Yahya and Musharraf, initiated wars with India, while the 4th, Zia, started the policy of sending terrorists into India, especially Kashmir. Gen Munir has already been involved in the Pahalgam killing of Hindus and has had to face India's Operation Sindoor. While nothing is known about Gen Munir's confidential reports or record of service, his becoming army chief was providential. He was to have retired on 27th November 2022 before the then army chief. Another Sharif, this time Shehbaz, Nawaz's younger brother, gave him an extension so that he could take over as the chief. The 26th Amendment has paved the way for him to get an extension, while elevation to Field Marshal ensures that he doesn't retire. Since Munir has indicated that he expects to be around for a long time, his future activities would well be worth a watch to see which way he goes. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and comment. See you soon with another episode and anecdote. Till the next time, I am Tilak Devasher. Namaskar and Jai Hind.